Welcome to Make Today Count, your 60 minutes of fresh conversation served up to inform, educate, and inspire your personal brand. I'm your host, Ross Dean, and each episode I chat to thought leaders, influencers, and experts in their game who all have one thing in common: the desire to go the extra mile, pushing against the status quo to create a richer life for both themselves and those around them. Powered by compassion and driven by the need to leave the world that little bit better than when they arrived. Okay, hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Make Today Count. Today we've got another amazing guest for you. He's the CEO of WeStrive, founder of the tech networking group Entrepreneurs of LA, and podcast host as well over on the Building Fires podcast. Cory McKane, how are you?
Doing wonderful, man. It's a pleasure to be on here.
No, thank you so much for your time. We're going to be talking about something that's I find fascinating. It's been a really help to my business. It's all around automation. Automation for your business is something that's kind of revolutionized kind of the stuff that I do. And I think because a lot of our listeners are kind of maybe in the early stages of setting up businesses and that kind of stuff. My hope is that if we can get these guys on board a little bit earlier in the process, I think it's going to have so much more benefits as they kind of progress in their business. But before we get into some of that, what I'd love to do, if people haven't come across the work that you do and your app and that kind of stuff, would you give us a little bit of background about your backstory and kind of how you got to where you are today, please?
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's almost a 6-year journey, actually. So I'll try and do my best to summarize, but essentially, yeah. So I run a SaaS, which SaaS stands for Software as a Service. Similar SaaS ideas are like, you pay monthly for a software. So like a Microsoft product, like an Office or a Word, if you were to pay monthly for that. Like a Asana, if you have Asana to manage your projects, like pretty much anything that you pay a software monthly for is a SaaS. So I run a SaaS or a CRM, aka client relationship management tool, for personal trainers. So basically, we help personal trainers manage their clientele, handle their billing, build programs, build fitness plans, nutrition plans. So essentially anything a personal trainer needs to do, we help them with. And then from the mobile app, their clients are going to follow those programs, track their progress, update progress photos, etc. So kind of like an all around experience for the entire training journey. And so basically I've been working on this app for years. It kind of started off, I don't want to go too much into detail because I feel like that wasn't the point to talk for 20 minutes on it. But essentially, yeah, so some friends and I came home one night, friends had an idea, let's make a fitness app. And 6 years later, I'm talking to Ross on a podcast. So, but yeah, I wanted to make a marketplace for fitness programs. That was the original idea. Yeah. I thought it was pretty ridiculous that there wasn't like a place where you could search like, bodybuilding 3 days a week, 30 minutes a day, advanced, and then find programs based on the personal trainers that have uploaded them. And so I started working on that. Put about the first 3 years of my journey into that, so that 100% dedicated into it. We finally, after like version 5, launched our final version, and essentially, this isn't the point of the podcast, but what I learned was we were more building something that I wanted to build, and something that like trainers had told me that they wanted, and not that they necessarily didn't want it. It just wasn't a need, and so it's a very important thing that I needed to address early on, is that like we were solving a want and not a need. So what I realized is that they were looking for something that can actually help them manage and grow their business. And the marketplace we had finally built was beautiful and it was great, but it was mostly just like an extra revenue stream for them and less of like their essential core needs. So we pivoted, put what little money we had into it, and started building out this new CRM or SaaS platform for trainers. So it took about 1.5 years to launch it because it had a million more features than I thought it would. And we finally launched that about 8 months ago. We've just been slowly growing revenue. And then we have a big relaunch coming up in about 2 weeks, actually. So at the end of the year, Apple approving our app, permitting, and just excited to go from there.
Perfect. And kind of, was the fitness industry something that you were immersed in before the idea came for the app? Was it something that you were actively participating in?
Yeah, in high school, I actually, in high school in 10th grade, I actually had the idea for the
Mm.
marketplace, not the thing we have now, but our first version. Yeah, I did like a little, I was in like a fitness specialist class in high school for 2 years. Actually like studied for the personal training certification in high school. Then I did a couple different weightlifting competitions, and I was super involved in sports growing up. So I was just around all these amazing personal trainers, and it was, and I didn't necessarily do the wrong thing for my first company, because I took a problem in my life and I solved it. Like I just had so many uh, amazing fitness programs, but I would have to find them through like Google searching and PDFs.
Mm.
But yeah, I was very, very much involved in the fitness industry early on.
Perfect. And for a lot of people that I chat to on the podcast, these ideas or these new ventures kind of come from a kind of a moment. Maybe it was something that they just kind of thought of, or maybe it was a change in their lifestyle, or something, a big change in their lives. Was there anything kind of prompting you to kind of veer off in this direction, or was it just something that you felt in your gut was you needed to do?
Well, it's funny you say that, man, because it's like my entire life, you can ask my ex, is basically encompassed by this app. Like it's like everything I do.
Mm.
It's just like it's so weird how it's like in like Spider-Man 3 or whatever, like that Venom thing like overcomes his whole body. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna use that analogy again. But yeah, it's really crazy. It has become everything about me. But if you take me back to 2015 when I was in college, about to graduate with my accounting degree, before I had this idea, I would have never thought I would be living in Oklahoma of all places,
Yeah.
talking on a podcast about it. So, there wasn't necessarily like, there was definitely the moment when we came home and, we were like, oh,
Mm.
let's build an app. And so I was like, okay, there's that moment. There was the moment where the next week I took my super shitty designs to my buddy that was like a branding expert. And he
Yeah.
was like, all these suck, but like, this is actually kind of a good idea. And then there's like 1,000 moments down the line where it was like, oh, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
Mm.
There wasn't necessarily one moment where I was like light bulb. It was kind of like an accumulation.
Yeah.
But that first night where we were all sitting there, just roommates throwing off ideas, was definitely the light bulb moment, I guess, where it was like, oh, this would actually be really cool. And then at some point I was like, I guess I'm going to do this full time. So I don't remember when that moment was where I was like, I'm going to quit my job and just do this. But
Mm.
there's definitely a lot of those for sure.
Sure. So what I love about this conversation today, Cory, is that we can really deep dive into it from, I guess, two different points of view. Because myself as a business owner, I use a CRM type software for my own photography business, which is great. And then also I'm a client. I'm a personal training client. I'm a gym client. So I think there's some great ways that we can kind of look at some of this stuff. But at its core, what we're looking at today is around automation, and I think you'll agree that any way that we can kind of automate a lot of the things that we do in our business has so many more benefits that have a knock-on effect in all areas of our lives. For you and the guys at WeStrive, what would you say? I know there's key elements of automation built into this app that's really going to help PTs run their business. But what do you kind of, if someone was to say to you kind of, what do you think is automation's all about? What would you kind of say?
And that's actually the thing is, so I personally use a lot of automation in my own life and then also within the business. And so when we launched WeStrive, we didn't have, and we still don't until 2 weeks from now, have a lot of automation.
Mm.
We were so focused on the design and the functionality and making sure that our app was better looking and faster, and it's just easier to use across the board.
Yeah.
Um, and so the last like 6 to 8 months were spent where I just did hundreds of personal trainer interviews, just asking them like, what
Mm.
features do they need? What
Yeah.
are they looking for? And so we noticed that, like, I mean, obviously, at scale, the more the more clients that a personal trainer has, the more likely they're going to want to have that automation. So, for us, automation involves we've created a scheduling calendar where trainers can auto schedule different. We call them client events, so they can schedule out requesting progress photos. They can schedule out requesting weigh-ins. They can schedule messages ahead of time, and schedule out like a to-do list or goal ahead of time. So they can take all of the like if they have 50 clients, they can go onto their calendar and they can just go boom, boom, boom and schedule out, every 4 weeks, I want this to go out for this client and I want this message to go out. And it'll just like completely automate most of their busy work.
Mm.
And then on top of that, our program builder, this isn't necessarily automation, but it's a huge, huge time saver. So our program builder comes with thousands of photos and videos they can utilize, like, barbell bench, whatever you're going to do for your program. And then we've just done so many things to like make it the process quicker. So we've added like category photos. So you have like, instead of just typing like, oh, what do I want to do for my client for chest today? You have like a chest category right there. And then you're able to easily duplicate and drag days around, drag weeks around. So it kind of you can create a program in a tenth of the time versus before you were kind of just like build the day. They just had to have this long drawn out process. So automation is super important. And as we grow the business, these are the features that we're starting with over the next 2 weeks that we've been building for the last few months. And then we're just going to keep adding more and more things that make it easier for our trainers to automate.
Yeah. So I'm guessing most of your clients kind of are working on their own. They have their own business and it's just them. Is it just them in the business, most of them?
Most of them, yeah, but we do have a lot of trainers that actually do have business partners. So,
okay, cool.
Yeah, we were a little slow on the teams and groups concept where we can have multiple trainers working together. So that concept's coming out in like a little over a month.
Yeah.
It was just this weird, like, we just had so many features that we wanted to add. We kind of had to pick which ones. So yeah, along with a couple of other things, those will be released with our update number 2 in late January.
Yeah. So, a lot of people that listen to the podcast are solo business owners, people that are starting from scratch and work on their own. And I think, what I'm guessing through the conversations that you had with the PTs, one of the things no one has got a lot of is time. And whether it's time in the business, whether it's time if they've got families or that kind of stuff. And what I've seen personally is that, integrating CRMs and different ways of automating the business allows you to free up so much time in other areas.
Absolutely.
For myself, I've got two young children, and it just enables me to free up time that I can spend more time with them. So I'm not kind of spending hours in the evening kind of writing up things or redoing emails when they could just be templated and kind of sent out. There's lots of ways that we can sort of bring this in. For a lot of people, I guess that kind of switch to kind of from the manual processes to the automating or the more app focused functions. It can be a little bit of a jump for some people. Why do you think sometimes we kind of put it off and maybe don't move to it? Is it kind of a control thing? Have you seen with clients?
Well, I think it's a control thing, but also it's like I think maybe it's a little bit of fear that like it's just gonna not work or something like that. And then I also think it's a little bit of just it takes time. So I think the best. I interviewed a guy a while back that runs the social media account for a couple of bigger clients, and he runs all their socials, and basically he just didn't want to use automation for the post itself because he was like, look, this is all I do all day. Like if I have to automate it, like what else am I going to do? So, and he also like the clients are very important. So he just wanted to make sure that, that he wasn't screwing that up. But that's more of an extreme example. So that's one end of the spectrum. And the other end is like, it just takes time. Like for me, there are so many things that to this day, because I have probably like 1,000 things I do each week for my company. And so a lot of them are automated. I can touch on what things I do in a little bit, but there are certain things that I do want to like, I keep doing every single day. And it's just a matter of, I think another problem is not knowing the tools. So it's a matter of finding the tools that can actually help you automate those processes effectively and just kind of slowly. And also at the same time, you can't just go from nothing to everything's automated. It takes time to like, get each, whether it's, your mailing list, your CRM, how you do your project flow. It just takes time to kind of automate all that stuff. So I think those are kind of the main reasons.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, these things take time in the setup, I've found, so it takes a bit of time to kind of set these things up, as you say. But once you've done that, you can pretty much kind of take a seat back and just kind of let it run, which is really empowering, I think.
Well, 100%. Yeah. I mean, especially with apps like Zapier, which I'm every day becoming more and more fluent with. I'm still definitely not an expert by any means, but I'm currently using 2 different Zapier plugins, and I'll probably have like 20 by the end of the year.
Yeah.
It's a pretty incredible platform.
Yeah. So it's kind of a business owner, going back to what you mentioned before around how you kind of use it in your own day to day. Just give us some examples of kind of some of the key things that you've found have really helps you kind of in your day to day business life. Do you think?
Like a couple different like softwares
Yeah,
that I
sure.
use.
Just yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually just gonna go down the list. So I mean, I just from left to right, looking at my bookmarks. So as far as like socials go, using Hootsuite
Mhm.
is definitely, although actually Instagram has their own scheduling tool now through
Yeah.
business.facebook, which I just found out about. So I was like, damn, that sucks, you know. But yeah, using stuff like Hootsuite so you can actually schedule that stuff out ahead of time versus like it just takes so much time to individually prep like one social media post at a time.
Mm.
So when you do that all at once, you can save, you know, at least an hour a week because you can just, or you know, a month, however you operate, but you can just kind of just get all those processes out of the way. And whereas like you don't have to like start thinking about it and get the process going, you can just do it all at once. You don't have to do it 5 times a week.
Yeah.
So Hootsuite's super important. I just started using Pinterest, so then I automatically went to Tailwind, which is a platform
Yeah.
actually based here in OKC. I have a call with the CEO on Friday. I didn't realize I had already talked to him because I didn't know what his platform was at first,
Okay.
and
Cool.
then then I started using Tailwind where you can automate pins, which saves so much time. And then I had one of my mentors connect me with the CEO of Tailwind, and then I noticed that we already had an email chat and we had already hopped on a call. So I was like, shit, my bad. But we're having another call. And then, you know, stuff like I think really important when you get bigger, stuff like when you have a platform, stuff like automated chatbots. So using Intercom. So we have our big launch coming up in 2 weeks. And I've made the mistake of, you know, launching apps before, and then all of a sudden I have to fix like FAQs and I have to fix this. So I'm making sure that like we have our entire everything from FAQs to chatbots to, you know, the like just the entire process ready to go. So as soon as I click, you know, apps launched, we're good to go. So um, I have our chatbots to the point where anything you ask, it's going to automatically respond with certain answers, which is kind of how chatbots work. So I'm not changing the wheel or anything, but
Yeah.
basically I have it so it goes all the way down the line. So you'll have like 5 questions per answer, and that saves me a ton of time because usually the trainers will get their answer within that chatbot, and
Yeah.
that's time that I don't have to take a pause on from working on the company to go answer a
Mm.
chatbot.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, stuff like Anchor, which yeah, I'm not sure if you use it or not, but yeah, automatically post your podcast for you at a specific time.
Yeah.
And then automatically, now since we're on the theme, automatically puts it out to all those different podcast feeds.
Mm.
We have like a weekly blog that goes out, and then I use MailChimp to automate a weekly, pulls our RSS feed. And so it sends
Yeah.
an automatic email for that. I mean, I can keep going, but like just like I'm
Yeah.
looking
No.
at my bookmarks. It's just like a
Yeah.
lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's good, you know, and heartening as well. To, you know, these are names that I'm using myself, you know, especially around the podcasting aspect, using the RSS feeds to send out emails, and you know that's really powerful and a way to integrate some of that stuff. And I'm guessing from the conversations that you had with those PTs, as you were kind of building the app as well, were there key things that came up where people were just having challenges with? I know we talk about time, but did a lot of those conversations, how did that help the way that then you built WeStrive after that?
So basically what I realized is like our industries. So when you run a startup, investors will always tell you not to get into a quote unquote feature battle where
Yeah.
you're just like constantly adding more and more and more and more features. And that's like all you do for your company life. Um, I'll argue that's true, and you don't want to always do that. But at the same time, we have a very like open, everyone knows everyone industry. So it's like if you don't have certain features, you can't really play the game.
Mm.
So we basically over the phone calls, there's been at least, well, basically every single feature that we're adding with this new update is just features that we didn't have that our competitors do offer. Well, not cumulatively, but like one will have this and one will have that. So we're kind of bringing
Okay.
all the
Yeah.
features that everyone's asked for together. But yeah, there was just so many things like our like little things that I didn't expect. Our trainers like when you build a program normally, but then being able to take a zoom out and then look at it from a calendar overview and then go back
Mhm.
into it. So we didn't have that calendar overview immediately available. So we're adding that. We didn't have like an in-depth testimonial section. So we added that. We didn't have this, and this. So it's like, um, yeah, there's just so many, there's literally hundreds of things that trainers have requested. So I'd say like 80% of those updates are being done in the next 2 weeks. And then some of them are a little bit bigger. So we're going to have those over time. But just stuff like customization, automation, like, so one thing I'll say, I guess it's a point to take out of this is that when you are having demo calls with your target audience, whether you run a company or you're just like
Mm.
trying to think they're getting started, just take notes on everything, and try and categorize those notes. So basically, what I did, which is not the right way to do it, is I would just have conversations, and then when a trainer would ask for the same thing, or different trainers would ask for the same thing multiple times, it would kind of ring a bell to go, oh, I should probably add that.
Okay.
Whereas
Yeah.
I should have been writing that down the entire time and, kind of showing, okay, 5 trainers said this, we should add this. So then I could have created a better, like more prominent list of that stuff.
Mm. And will it be that you'll have ongoing conversations with your clients and the personal trainers throughout? Is it something you're planning to do every now and then to kind of help you build new features into the platform?
I am, yeah. So I think it's really important as a CEO to stay in touch with your company,
Mm.
and your clientele. And so I don't, I'm saying this now, but like once we start making a lot of money, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this. But my goal is to have at least, like long term, have at least one call with one of our trainers. I think that'd
Mm.
be cool if we had like a week. Sorry, I think it'd be cool if we had like 100,000 trainers, and then you sign up for a demo call, and all of a sudden the CEO's on the phone with you, and I'm just like, hey,
Yeah. Yeah.
I like to do these once a week, and like, I think that'd be such a cool experience that you wouldn't get with another company. So, so yeah, I want to keep having them personally. Due to budgeting, I'll definitely be the one having them for the next couple of months at least. And
Yeah.
then once our monthly revenue's up, we'll be hiring people to kind of handle that process. And
Mm.
ideally, it won't be necessary to have these calls because we'll have such a solid landing page and funnel and all that stuff that they don't really need to hop on a
Yeah.
demo call, and the software just will just speak for itself. But yeah, I do want to continue to have these conversations because it's just so important. Like our app would not be what it's about to be,
Mm.
had I not spoken to all these trainers. I would have completely gone a different direction. And it's crazy too because like um I definitely always feel like I'm right, and I'm like, oh, this is a good idea. I know I'm right.
Yeah.
And then there was like sometimes trainers will say things, and I'm like, oh, it's so stupid. Like, I would never do that. And then take a step back, and then we actually add the feature, and now I'm like, oh, this feature is so cool, and it
Yeah.
just makes so much like the features thing, being able to have chest and back. Like trainers ask for that so much, and I was just like, what are you talking about? You're a personal trainer. Like, can't you just like chest exercises? And now
Mm.
that I've built it, I'm building programs. I'm like, this is so dope. I can just push chest and it shows all the chest. And you're just
Mm.
like, it kind of takes some of the weight off your back. So definitely listen to your audience, take notes on that. It's just super important.
Yeah, I guess from the trainer's point of view as well, you're having those tools inbuilt, and you've spoken around building this kind of 360 app where everything's included. They then don't have to go out and record their own content for stuff and take time setting up all this stuff. It's a real kind of benefit built within the app, isn't it? For a lot of people, because again, they don't have the time necessarily to record all this stuff and put it on there.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, and they do have the option too to add their own content. But yeah, I
Mm.
mean, it's basically, I mean, for the bigger trainers, or sorry, for the earlier stage trainers, it's a massive benefit because before, if you want to train online, you have to use like Excel,
Yeah.
and you're like texting your client how to
Mm.
do, burpees and stuff like that. Like you're sending like YouTube videos. And it's just a super tacky, like inefficient
Mm.
way to do it. And so now, well, that stuff is automated. So you just basically build the program, you attach it, it pops up on their phone, and they follow it in the app, and you can see their progress and growth and all that stuff from the same page. So it's a pretty amazing platform for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And how's the response been since you kind of rolled out different variations, and maybe those trainers who you spoke to have got their hands on the app and start to use it? What's the feedback been like?
It's been really great. And so like I said, I mean, it was Basically for us, we still have the feature battle concept where trainers are signing up. We have some trainers that have canceled our veteran competition, whereas like we have hundreds of trainers and our competition has like over 100,000. And they've got like millions more dollars than we do. And we have trainers canceling them and switching over to us, despite the
Okay.
fact that I'm bluntly just like, look, we're still missing X, Y, and Z feature. And they're just like, my client hates the other app, so I'm switching to you. So that's been really
Mm.
cool. And then the ones that have been hard, not like hard because I know we're gonna fix the problem, but like hard just like financially, have just been the countless trainers that are just waiting for this new update that were just like, yo, we're like
Okay.
respectfully, and I totally get it. Like respectfully, I need automation. I have 60 clients. I can't just not have auto messaging auto messaging. I can't just not have
Mm.
automatic progress photo requests and stuff like that. So,
Mm.
and I'm just like, I totally get it. And so I think being very not trying to like push and sell those people because it's like, you're not like
Yeah.
they need this for their business. I wouldn't switch either. So those conversations have been very good too. But I mean, overall, like uh, if it's a feature battle, like once that's done, aka in the next month or two, our functionality and design and just like overall user experiences just blows everyone else out of the water. So I just know
Mm.
long term we're going to be fine. So I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah. And for those trainers, like you say, who have maybe jumped from their old apps or their own platforms to you guys, which you're kind of in the early stages of getting things going, I guess that's down to kind of, they appreciate that you're having a two-way conversation and that you're keeping people updated, and there's kind of a community that's wrapped around your business, which they find appealing. Would you say that's one of the benefits why people are kind of jumping over?
I 100% agree, man. Yeah, and like you said, I mean, without having that conversation with the CEO, I think some of them wouldn't have switched yet, just because there is
Mm.
so many features. But I mean, honestly, it's funny because there's been a few times where they're like, "I'm going to switch," and they cancel and then start paying us, and
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I wouldn't have switched, like, because of their specific scenario. Like it's usually the automation feature, but at the same time, I probably would have switched because like it's just so much
Mm.
easier to use. So I mean, it's been really cool. And then yeah, after this new update, I'm 100% would switch if I was a trainer. But I think just having that amazing community and
Mm.
having a platform behind your platform is super important. That the trainer, like your target audience, can kind of feel at home. Like it's not going to always be this way, but I do like how my personal trainers can email me or shoot me a text whenever they have a problem, and I'll personally solve it. So again, that's just more of like an early stage situation, but we have like hundreds of trainers that feel that way. They feel like they can reach out directly to the CEO, and he's gonna
Mm.
like pause what he's doing, figure out their problem, and then get back to them as soon as he can. So I think that's a really essential, like early on with a company, to build that core. I'm not an expert on all that stuff. I feel like I'm really good at customer service, but like I'm not a pro.
Mm.
But yeah, my goal is just to build an amazing community behind our trainers and find ways to support them. And so we're already doing stuff like we're going to be launching a WeStrive U, which is like a little university to
Okay.
help our
Yeah.
trainers grow their business, help them set up LLCs, all that stuff. And we're just creating a whole bunch of business support and sales support kind of modules and pages and affiliates and all that stuff to help our trainers get started.
Mm. So what I'm hearing, Corey, is that this is fast becoming more than just an app. It's becoming a community, as you say. It's becoming kind of a way in which people, can, if they're starting off in training, can kind of get all the boxes ticked where they need to, and that's really refreshing, because I think when we talk about kind of setting up in the early stages of business, and maybe if we're looking at trying to automate and some of this stuff and using all these tools, how it used to be is that we'd have to go and sign up for loads of different tools and platforms and everything, and if those platforms and tools were integrating with each other, we'd have to make sure that they're all in tune with the API keys and everything was happening and working okay. And then if one of them fell down, some of the others might fall down behind it. And what I think what's great is what you guys are doing is that you're bringing all that together specifically for this market, who it's clear to see hasn't got the time to go through some of this stuff, but equally wants to give a good impression to their clients. I think that's something we haven't touched upon yet, is that, we've talked about the back end and how helpful that is for these PTs. But, from a front end point of view, from the client's point of view, this looks really kind of polished and efficient. Was that one of the things that often came out of those conversations as well, around kind of like the preconception of what a personal trainer is like through the tools that they use?
Yeah. So what's cool is we spent a ton of, because we were originally a B2C or
Hmm.
consumer facing
Yeah.
product. So our consumer side has always been a huge focus. And so when we pivoted to a B2B model, business to business, targeting the trainers, we we had that B2C model like kind of set in stone. So
Yeah.
with these conversations I've had with my trainers, they it never once came up like, well, sorry, it was asked, but it was based on our demo. It was never once like, oh, if I'm not going to switch, it's not because of my client experience, because our client experience is by far and away, especially with this new update. I can't wait. Is by far and away the best out there for the personal training industry. The way that our clients follow a program, they have the photos and videos there. They can record all their exercises results from the screen. They swipe left and right to flow through the program like you're swiping on Tinder. I mean, it's just like
Yeah.
it's super easy to use. We have like we're the only app that has like personal records within the app that trainers can track, or sorry, clients can track their own. If they get a new back squat, they can track their growth in a graph right from the app. Like just so many features that like we offer specifically that competitors don't offer. And it's just very, very easy to use. So what's cool about the app is you kind of know how well like designed you've built an app based on like how often you get requests. And I
Yeah.
honestly can't, I've gotten like maybe two trainers emailing me saying their client doesn't understand how to use the app
Okay. Yeah.
out of like hundreds of clients.
Mm.
So it's been cool. So that's it's extremely important to focus on our personal trainers, but it's even more important to make sure that like the people that are paying them are happy as well.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like they are our target market, is the
Mm.
people that pay the people to pay us. So yeah, it's extremely important for us for sure.
Yeah. No, definitely. And I think, that's the key, isn't it? If you make an app or an experience as easy and as fluid as you can make it, at the end of the day, people are going to use it, aren't they? I think we've all downloaded apps or programs or tools where we've started to use it and it's been kind of clunky and we just kind of like, oh, forget it, and we've uninstalled it or whatever, and moved on. But that's really great to hear. Was the kind of the styling of the app based on anything that you'd seen before, which you kind of felt worked really well, or how did you kind of come up with the styling around kind of that front end for the PT's clients in a way? Was it based on anything at all?
Um, you know, I really can't remember honestly, just because we've
Mm.
gone through so many different iterations. Like,
Mm.
uh, I'm very unique in my role where like I am I run the company, but I also am the one that does all of the early stage designing. So
Yeah.
in startups or in design, when you're building out an app, you have these things called wireframes. If the audience isn't familiar, wireframes are like the skeleton of the app. So like if you took, if you pulled up Instagram and went to the homepage and you got rid of all the colors and all the pictures and all the, just the pretty stuff, you would
Yeah.
just have like buttons and like a blank, canvas where a picture would go. So that's a wireframe, and you build out for the whole app. So I do all the wireframes for our app, and then I do a few stages past that where I'll actually put the designs in there so I can get like an actual flow going. And then
Mm.
I hand it off to my designers to make it look better, move the buttons around, make it look a little bit bigger, better. But as far as like, I don't have like a specific app that I modeled it off of per se, but like there are the apps that I definitely have pulled inspiration from. Like just Airbnb's platform has always been just a beautiful like
Yeah.
inspiration for us. Just like pretty much everything that they do is just it's just so cool how they've engaged the community
Mm.
and like their story and how successful they've become. So their apps beautiful. And one thing you can definitely do is like I don't go to our competitors, because the whole reason we're here is because we're building a much better platform.
Mm.
But you can look at similar industries, sorry, not similar industries, but like other people that have designed a product or have built a platform before, and you can just look at what they've done, because
Yeah. Yeah.
bigger companies like them have spent millions of dollars A/B testing websites and landing pages and all this stuff. And it's like, if you don't have any money and you're starting off as a company, like, why would you reinvent the wheel? Like,
Mm.
there's a reason Airbnb has that button where that button is, like, because they did 50,000 A/B tests and found that that's where that button should go. So as a base, like, look at companies like that and figure out what they've done and use that for your core designs and your core functionality. And you're going to be pretty, and you'll figure out your own things eventually, but like, you'll be pretty set if you're doing stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. And what do you kind of see? I know you spoke a little bit about the future of the app and where you're going with the WeStrive U and that kind of thing. But if we could project around about, say 5 to 10 years, where would you like to kind of see the platform being, and what would it consist of? Would it just be the app, or would it be kind of this full kind of lifestyle kind of platform?
Yeah. So we actually have this 2021 is going to be our year for sure. So
Mm.
I've wanted to build a nutrition software for a very long time, and we're finally going to do it this year.
Okay.
Where basically we pull a food data API, and we're going to build the first web and mobile app nutrition building software, where you can drag and drop foods. You can take, instead of typing bench and then putting 3x12 for sets and reps, you're going to be able to put in an apple and then put how many quantities, etc. And
Okay.
then trainers can build out, and nutrition and dietitians can build out these full, beautiful plans and then
Mm.
assign them in our app. And we'll have like a MyFitnessPal-esque kind of an app within our own app. So it's going to be pretty
Hmm.
crazy. You're gonna have both fitness and nutrition. And then in the fall, we're actually expanding into the entire health and wellness professional industry. So we're going to be
Yeah.
adding chiropractors, physical therapists, yoga instructors, life coaches, health coaches, etc. So we'll start creating a wait list for that. Well, I already kind of have one, but we'll create like an official wait list for that probably in the next 3 months, so we can kind of start building that out. But and then the ultimate goal, by not this time next year, but maybe like the Q1 of 2022, Q2,
Yeah.
we're actually going to turn on the marketplace function. So you're going to, the end goal for this is basically you're going to have WeStrive. You can track your running in it, your fitness, your nutrition, everything you need. And it sounds like a lot, but our app is super light. Like our new launch coming out, it only has like 25 megabytes, whereas like our competitors have 250. So it's a
Okay.
super light app. We kind of got rid of all the bullshit.
Mm.
But the end goal is you can have your entire experience for all health and wellness on there. We will have stuff like, I don't remember the word you just used, but like we'll have like kind of a community around fitness. We'll have like news feeds and stuff like that, to like in
Yeah.
articles and all that stuff. But you're going to be able to find a personal trainer online or near you. And then the
Mm.
next bucket, you can find a dietitian. And if you need to find a chiropractor in your area, it'll be right there. If you
Mm.
need to find like a physical therapist to do like a telemedicine phone call with, you can find them online too. So your entire like health journey is going to be within one app. And that's kind of the end goal for us. So there's like thousands of things we're doing before then, but that's what we're getting trying to get to.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that. I was just thinking that, if someone was working with a trainer and they use the app and they're really happy with that, and maybe they moved for work somewhere else and everything, they want to use someone that can then connect into the same app and carry on their progress, and that'd be a great feature, wouldn't it? To be able to just connect with other people that are using the same platform and have the same kind of approach to what they're doing, and just
Mm-hmm.
building that network. And that's such a benefit too, in regards to networking for the PTs as well, isn't it? They can be connected to new clients through the WeStrive platform.
Absolutely. And they can actually already do that. So we've had trainers already get clients through our marketplace that we have, but it's more of an online marketplace, and we don't focus on it too much. But yeah, the ultimate goal is that trainers can go on there and they can find the clients that when the clients are looking for them. So we're going to definitely be switching to like a B2C model, kind of coming back around to our original business model.
Yeah.
And once we're ready to go, though, we've got a lot of stuff in the B2B space we need to finish. But yeah, that's the goal, is to have this community. And actually, with our current app, we have right now, not the one we're updating. We have like a social media feed and you can like add friends and stuff. And we're getting rid of all that because what I realized is like you need to have a massive community to add a social feature, and
Yeah.
such a waste of money, such a waste of time. Like I can't tell you how much time and energy we put into this stupid social media feed that no one cares about. So I'm excited to re-add that a little bit later next year, or in 2022.
I think that's a really interesting point. I think many of the listeners will take a lot away from that, because I think when you create something, be it a membership, maybe a course or something like that, you think you've got to add this kind of social aspect into it. You know, it's how we communicate in our daily lives. We use Facebook, we use Instagram, and all these messenger apps. But that's really interesting you say that in regards to, you know, don't maybe not consider adding that until later on down the line where you've actually built the community before giving them the tools to it.
No, exactly. Like that's the thing, is like, just build a Facebook group. Like the social media, it was just so stupid having it. And we even had cool stuff. Like we added the ability for clients when they finish a workout to automatically share their results, how much weight they lifted, like their highest weight of the day, share those results to the news feed automatically. And I was like, yes, so cool. But we didn't have all the things like find your friends or people you may know and all this stuff. So it's like,
Okay.
if you want to compete with, like, if you want to build a social aspect and you don't have the universal qualities of a Twitter, an Instagram, or a Facebook, there's no point. And I took a step back and I was like, okay, I run the company, it's my idea, and I wouldn't use this social media feed. So like, why is this here? So yeah, Facebook groups will do just fine until you have like a ton of people on your platform.
Yeah. We just mentioned a little bit there about networking, and what I'm interested in is, you know, just moving away from WeStrive for just a second. One of the other things you got involved with was setting up the tech networking group, Entrepreneurs of LA. What were the kind of the origins of that, and how did that come about?
Yeah, so to be blunt, like there was this I've always liked hosting events, and like I think I'm a really good event host because I have like empathy and I care about, if people are there and I see them kind of sitting by themselves, I'll be attentive and make sure that I go out and say, hey, what do you do? Okay, you should definitely talk to this person, like walk them over to the next person. So I'm very, very involved and make sure that everyone at my events is having a good time. But it came about because I moved to LA, and I really like I was supposed to be there for like to meet people, and I went to like one or two networking events, and it was the same old, same old. Like networking events are fine, but I'm in tech, so I only care about meeting people in tech. I need someone that like runs a software company. Like Ross, like you do photography, and I'm glad we've met. This is cool. But like if I'm at a networking event, I'm not trying to meet you. I'm trying to meet an investor or someone that also runs a software company. Or someone that's like in sales in a startup. So I guess you kind of have like an affiliation, but like across the board, that's kind of what I'm looking for. And so I would go to all these other events and it'd be like real estate, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, dude, I don't care. I do not like, let's grab a drink. Sure. But like, I'm here to meet someone, in my space. And then so then I didn't network for like 2 years. So I absolutely hated it. But then I went to this tech networking group, and it was only like 12 of us, and I went multiple times, and I had the best time. I got one investor that put in $5,000 from an event after one conversation. Like it was just like, it was a bunch of cool, like great conversations with these people that I could actually relate to and network with. And then I went to like the fourth one there, and I found out the guy that hosted them, well, he was never there. I found out who it was. It's the same guy every time that hosts all these events. It wasn't there. I talked to the bartender. I was kind of drunk, and she was like, yeah, the guy that hosts these is like kind of a dick, and he like never tips, and he never tells us that he's going to be there. It's like we just show up. Like, so I drove all the way across LA for this event, and I show up, and apparently it wasn't even officially scheduled. They were like, I guess you can talk here. And so it was super frustrating, and I just got really pissed. And I was bartending in Venice Beach at the time, and I called my boss, and I was like, can I host an event there next week? And she goes, yeah. I was like, it'll be like 90 people. And she's like, yeah. And I just messaged a ton of people that were in tech that I knew. And I was like, hey guys, I'm hosting this dope event. Like we're going to rent out the mezzanine at my bar. And it's gonna be fun. And we sure as I have videos, like the mezzanine got so packed that the server went home because she couldn't get through the crowd all night. So she just went home, and it was
Yeah.
just such a fun night. We had like 90 something people show up, and I was like, this is cool. So then I started hosting more and more events, and it was definitely hard because I wanted to make sure that it was only people in tech or startups. So I had to kind of like exclude some people from the group. Like there were so many friends that I could have invited that like, wouldn't have fit in with the crowd. So
Yeah.
it was a lot of LinkedIn messaging, but got to the point where I was doing like all is that LA is huge, and I was hosting an event every 2 or 3 weeks in a different area of LA, or maybe every month actually. But yeah, I hosted about 6 events. Each one averaged like 70 to like 80 people. With my last one having like 110, and I was scheduled, which sounds like cringy. We're talking about COVID now, but my last one was going to have like 200 people, and then the week COVID shut stuff down, my event was supposed to be then. So it was very unfortunate, man, because like honestly, and I know I'm going way too deep in this answer, but like
Nice.
um throughout this startup journey, I've always been super broke. Like I just haven't had any money because every time, even though I was making insane amounts of money waiting tables in Venice Beach,
Mm.
every penny I had went back into the app.
Yeah.
And to this day, like everything I do, if we don't have money from an investor at the time, I put my own money into the app.
Yeah.
Um, and so like I was always broke, and I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm like I have my accounting degree. Like I'm really good at multitasking. I have so many skills across the board that help me with my company. And I was like, why am